The story of Morgan Stanley begins in 1935, born from the ashes of one of the most seismic financial reforms in American history, the Glass-Steagall Act. To understand why Morgan Stanley came into existence, we must first revisit the downfall of its predecessor, the House of Morgan. For decades, J.P. Morgan & Co. had stood as the unrivaled titan of finance, controlling capital markets, underwriting massive corporate deals, and even playing kingmaker during times of national crisis. But the Great Depression changed everything. The U.S. government blamed Wall Street bankers for reckless speculation, and Glass-Steagall forced a separation between commercial banking and investment banking. J.P. Morgan chose to remain in commercial banking, leaving an opening for a new entity dedicated solely to investment banking. That entity became Morgan Stanley, founded by Henry Sturgis Morgan, grandson of J.P. Morgan and Harold Stanley. From the very beginning, the firm carried both prestige and controversy. It had Morgan blood in its veins, but it was also born as a workaround to regulations designed to limit Wall Street power. This contradiction would become a defining theme in its twisted history. In its first year, Morgan Stanley captured 24% of the market share for public offerings, cementing its dominance. But beneath the glamour of underwriting billion-dollar deals lay a culture of elitism, secrecy, and ruthless ambition, a culture that would both fuel its rise and sow the seeds of its darkest scandals.
As Morgan Stanley grew in the post-war years, it became the undisputed advisor to America's corporate elite. The firm's bankers orchestrated mergers, guided Fortune 500 giants, and handled government bond offerings with a mix of precision and arrogance. Unlike rivals that sought mass business, Morgan Stanley embraced exclusivity, serving fewer clients, but charging higher fees, projecting itself as the gentleman's bank. But behind the polished image, the firm's history is full of shadowy practices that rarely made it to the headlines. It had an informal alliance with the US government, advising on financial policy while benefiting from insider access. Morgan Stanley played both sides of the table, helping corporations dodge regulations while publicly promoting financial stability. This duality became most evident during the oil crisis of the 1970s, when the firm simultaneously advised energy giants and governments, profiting from volatility while posing as a stabilizer. By the 1980s, Morgan Stanley was deeply entrenched in the world of high-stakes corporate raiding, hostile takeovers, and junk bond financing. It presented itself as a bastion of old-school banking values, but was increasingly adopting the cutthroat tactics of Wall Street rivals like Goldman Sachs and Drexel Burnham Lambert. The twisted part of this history is how the firm cultivated an aura of respectability while engaging in the very speculative, manipulative practices it publicly criticized. The seeds of arrogance, conflicts of interest, and high-risk strategies had already been planted, waiting for the storms of the 1990s and 2000s to expose them.
The 1990s and early 2000s brought Morgan Stanley into a new era of power but also controversy. The firm's fingerprints were all over the dot-com boom, underwriting countless tech IPOs that skyrocketed in value only to crash spectacularly when the bubble burst. Morgan Stanley earned billions in fees while retail investors lost fortunes. Internal investigations later revealed that its analysts were pressured to issue positive ratings on companies they privately believed were worthless. This conflict of interest became one of the biggest scandals of the era, resulting in fines, lawsuits, and a tarnished reputation. Yet even after the dot-com collapse, Morgan Stanley was quick to reinvent itself, diving headfirst into global expansion, derivatives trading, and subprime mortgage securities. Here lies the darkest twist in its history. Morgan Stanley was one of the key players in packaging and selling toxic mortgage-backed securities that fueled the 2008 financial crisis. The firm aggressively pushed products it knew were risky, betting against them while selling them to clients. When the housing market collapsed, Morgan Stanley was hit hard, losing billions and teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. It had to be bailed out by both the US government and foreign investors, including Japan's Mitsubishi UFJ. What was once seen as a fortress of high finance was revealed to be as reckless and vulnerable as any other Wall Street casino. The gentleman's bank had fully transformed into a speculative machine, one whose survival now depended on taxpayer money and foreign capital.
After the 2008 crisis, many expected Morgan Stanley to fade into irrelevance. Instead, the firm engineered one of the most surprising comebacks in Wall Street history. Under CEO James Gorman, Morgan Stanley shifted its focus away from volatile trading and toward wealth management, acquiring Smith Barney from Citigroup and building the largest wealth management platform in the world. This pivot gave the firm steady revenue streams, less exposure to market crashes, and a renewed reputation. But the twisted irony was clear. A firm that once represented elite exclusivity now thrived by catering to millions of wealthy clients worldwide. Morgan Stanley's new dominance in wealth management didn't erase its past scandals, but rebranded its image as a safe Wall Street giant. Yet beneath the surface, the old culture of power games, secrecy, and questionable ethics persisted. Whistleblowers accused the firm of hiding risks in its trading books, manipulating markets, and exploiting clients. International regulators fined it for insider trading, tax evasion schemes, and failures in risk management. The paradox of Morgan Stanley's history is that every reinvention seems to preserve its power while escaping accountability. The firm sheds its skin when convenient, but the DNA of manipulation, elitism, and survival at all costs remains intact.
Today, Morgan Stanley stands as one of the most influential financial institutions in the world, with trillions of dollars under management and influence stretching across continents. It has survived depressions, wars, bubbles, crashes, and scandals not by avoiding mistakes, but by adapting, reinventing, and leveraging its connections to government and global capital. The twisted history of Morgan Stanley is not just about one firm, but about the story of Wall Street itself. It represents the duality of finance, innovation and exploitation, stability and speculation, prestige and corruption. From its birth as a loophole around Glass-Steagall to its near death in 2008, and its rebirth as a wealth management giant, the firm embodies both the resilience and the moral compromises of modern capitalism. For ordinary people, Morgan Stanley's history is a cautionary tale about how financial power can shape economies, governments, and lives while avoiding accountability. For Wall Street insiders, it is a story of survival and dominance. And for the world, it raises a haunting question. If a firm with such a twisted past can not only survive but thrive, what does that say about the financial system we all live under? The truth is that Morgan Stanley's history is not finished, it is still being written, deal by deal, scandal by scandal, reinvention by reinvention. Its legacy is as much about the future of global finance as it is about the past, and that may be the most twisted truth of all.